The holographic projection of the Tokyo Stock Exchange flickered, casting a sterile blue light across the obsidian boardroom table. Marcus Thorne, immaculate in a charcoal gray suit that cost more than a family sedan, held up a single, elegant hand. The motion was subtle, yet it carried the absolute weight of his $8 billion acquisition. The entire boardroom, 18 vice presidents and legal analysts, fell instantly silent. "The terms are non-negotiable," Marcus said, his voice a smooth, quiet baritone that never needed to be raised. "Liquidate their redundant assets, absorb the R&D division, and terminate the redundant personnel by end of quarter. I want no friction, no severance debates. Understood?" A chorus of, "Yes, Mr. Thorne," murmured in response. He was about to swipe the projection away when a tiny, high-pitched hum pierced the soundproofed silence of the 80th floor. It wasn't his phone. It wasn't the intercom. It was singing. A child's hum. Marcus Thorne did not do children. He did not do interruptions. He turned his ergonomic chair, a motion of fluid, silent mechanics. And he froze. There, standing by his 3-inch-thick floor-to-ceiling window, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 7. She had neat, impossibly blonde hair pulled into 2 small pigtails, and she was pressing a waxy red crayon against the reinforced glass, humming "Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star" as she surveyed the city below. The private elevator doors hissed open, and his executive assistant, Harrison, burst through, his face pale and sweating. "Mr. Thorne, I am so profoundly sorry. She just walked past security. She said she had an appointment. I tried to stop her." Marcus stared at the girl, then at his panicked assistant. His voice was dangerously quiet, a razor's edge. "An appointment? With whom?" The little girl turned, seemingly unfazed by the room full of stunned executives. Her blue eyes were wide and bright. She held up a single, wrinkled piece of pink construction paper. "With you, mister," she said, her voice clear as a bell. "I finished it. It's your family." The silence that followed was heavier than the one Marcus had commanded. The VPs didn't dare breathe. Harrison looked as if he was about to faint. Marcus looked from the girl's earnest face back to the $4. $8 billion acquisition, then back to the girl. He felt an emotion so foreign he couldn't immediately place it. Cognitive dissonance. The two realities could not exist. A 7-year-old with a crayon had bypassed biometrics, armed guards, and a private elevator that required his fingerprint. He finally spoke. "Everyone, out." The room cleared in under 10 seconds, a silent, panicked exodus of expensive suits. Harrison lingered. "Sir, I'll have security escort her." "You're out too, Harrison," Marcus said, not taking his eyes off the child. The door clicked shut. It was just him and the girl. She was wearing worn but clean pink sneakers and a faded denim dress. The rich-poor divide wasn't just a theme in this room. It was a chasm. "How did you get here?" Marcus asked. He used the same tone he used when questioning a failing division head. The girl walked forward, her sneakers squeaking on the polished marble. She held up the drawing. "I told the man downstairs I had a delivery for Mr. Grumpy," she said. He looked at his computer and said, "Mr. Thorne?" And I said, "Yes, him." So he beeped the elevator. Marcus felt his perfectly trimmed stubble itch. "Mr. Grumpy, that's you," she said, as if it were obvious. She placed the pink paper on his vast, empty desk. "I finished it." Marcus stared down at the drawing. It was crude. Waxy. There were 4 figures drawn in that uniquely childlike way where the arms sprout from the head. One figure was tall, wearing a black suit, with a furious black scribble for a mouth. Above it she had written, "Mr. Groomy." Beside him was a small figure with yellow hair labeled Lily. But there were 2 others, a woman with long brown hair labeled Mommy, and a lumpy brown creature labeled Buddy the dog. Marcus felt a sudden sharp pressure in his chest. It wasn't a heart attack. It was something worse. It was a memory. He hadn't owned a dog in 12 years. He hadn't had a family in 10. This, he said, tapping the figure of the woman, is not my family. It is now, Lily said patiently, as if explaining to a simpleton. I drew it. So now you have one. You looked lonely. Loneliness was a word Marcus associated with weakness, with failure. He was not lonely. He was efficient. He was unencumbered. You looked, Marcus said, his voice cold. At me? No, at your picture in the big lobby. Lily clarified. You were standing all by yourself. My mommy says nobody should be all by themselves, not even if they're grumpy. A buzzer on his desk chimed. Harrison's voice, tinny and terrified. Mr. Thorne, security is here. The girl's mother has been located. She's on the cleaning crew. 4th floor. Marcus pressed the button. Send her in, and security. Now. Lily's face, so bright a moment ago, crumpled. Am I in trouble? Marcus didn't answer. He picked up the drawing, his intention to hand it to the security guard as evidence of this absurd breach. The doors opened. 2 large men in black suits entered, followed by a woman in a gray janitorial smock. She was young, pale, and looked utterly terrified. Her eyes, the same blue as the girl's, darted to Lily. Oh, Lily, no, I told you to stay in the break room. I am so sorry, sir. Lily ran and hid behind her mother's legs. The woman, Sarah, grabbed her hand. Please, sir, she didn't mean anything. She likes to draw. She bypassed my security, Marcus stated flatly. She interrupted a multi-billion-dollar acquisition. She's 7, Sarah pleaded, tears welling. She's just a little girl. Please don't fire me. This job. It's everything. I won't bring her again. I swear it. Marcus looked at the mother, this desperate woman who reeked faintly of industrial disinfectant. He looked at the child hiding behind her. He looked at the 2 security men ready to drag them out. He was about to give the order. Fire her. Remove them. Secure the perimeter. This was a liability, a contamination of his sterile, controlled world. But his hand, the one holding the pink paper, tightened. He heard the crinkle of the crayon and paper. He looked down. In his fist he had crumpled the drawing. Mr. Groomy was now a wrinkled, fractured mess. Lily peeked out from behind her mother and saw it. She didn't cry. She just whispered, "You broke my drawing." Marcus stopped. The word broke echoed in the vast, silent office. He hadn't broken a drawing. He had broken a family. He stared at the waxy, distorted figures. He felt that sharp, unfamiliar pang again. Guilt. It was disgusting. Slowly, meticulously, Marcus Thorne uncurled his fingers. He smoothed the pink paper on his desk, trying to flatten the deep creases he'd made. He brushed a fleck of wax off the mommy figure. He looked at Sarah. Control your child, he said, his voice flat and hard. The woman flinched, bracing for the, "You're fired." "Go," Marcus said. Sarah stared, uncomprehending. "Go. Clean. Your shift isn't over." "Sir, and you," he said to the security guards, who looked equally baffled. "Leave." The guards and Sarah scurried out, Sarah dragging Lily by the hand, who kept looking back at Marcus with wide, confused eyes. The door hissed shut. Marcus was alone again. The silence was perfect. The holographic projection of the acquisition pulsed, waiting for his command. He ignored it. He sat at his desk for a long, long time, staring at the crumpled pink drawing of a family that wasn't his. He had closed deals that shifted global markets, crushed competitors without a second thought, and amassed a fortune that could buy small countries. But he could not for the life of him bring himself to throw that drawing in the trash. The next 3 days were a study in dissonance for Marcus. He closed the $4. $8 billion deal, ruthlessly dismantling the acquired company with the precision of a surgeon. He attended 3 board meetings, 2 charity galas, which he despised, and fired a hedge fund manager for a 0.2% discrepancy. He was, by all accounts, Mr. Grumpy. But the drawing remained. He hadn't thrown it away. He had, in a moment of baffling weakness, opened the bottom drawer of his monolithic desk, a drawer he hadn't used in years, and placed it inside. It lay there, a splash of absurd pink against the black velvet-lined interior. Every time he sat down, he was aware of it. It was like a bomb ticking beneath his hands. Why? It was just paper. It was the byproduct of a security breach. It should have been incinerated. He buzzed Harrison. "Find out the schedule of the third-party cleaning crew," Marcus commanded. "Specifically the woman, Sarah, the one with the child." "Sir?" Harrison's voice was hesitant. "The legal team has already processed the security lapse report. The vendor, OmniClean, has been fined, and the woman has been placed on a final warning. They assured us—" "I did not ask for a report, Harrison," Marcus cut in. "I asked for a schedule." "Yes, Mr. Thorne, right away." An hour later, the information was on his screen. Sarah worked the graveyard shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. She cleaned floors 10 through 20. She was never supposed to be anywhere near his 80th floor office. That had been an anomaly. She was covering a shift for a sick colleague. That night, at 2:17 a.m., Marcus Thorne did something he hadn't done in a decade. He left his penthouse, which occupied the 81st and 82nd floors, and took his private elevator not up, but down. He emerged on the 15th floor. The lights were dimmed, the air sharp with the smell of ammonia. It was silent, save for the distant hum of a vacuum. He walked the corridor, his $3,000 leather shoes silent on the carpet. He found her in the bullpen, emptying trash cans. She didn't have Lily with her. He was almost disappointed. No, not disappointed, relieved. He had been. Curious, that was all. "Ma'am," he said. Sarah spun around, dropping a plastic trash bag. She gasped when she saw him, her hand flying to her chest. "Mr. Thorne, I'm sorry, I was just—" "Where is the child?" he asked. The question was blunt, more of an interrogation. "At home, sir, I promise." Sarah rushed to explain. "My neighbor. She's watching her. I paid her. I told you I wouldn't bring her again." "I swear, You're paying a neighbor to watch her at 2 in the morning?" Sarah flinched, mistaking his question for an accusation. I don't have a choice, sir. The daycare. It's not open. I have to work. Please, I need this job." Marcus looked at her. She was young, maybe 25. Exhaustion was etched into her face, deep shadows under her blue eyes. She was wearing the same gray smock, the same worn sneakers. He thought of the $50,000 he'd spent on wine at the gala 2 nights ago. The disparity was inefficient. "This is unacceptable," he said. Sarah's face crumpled. "Sir, please, I'll work harder. I'll take extra shifts. Don't fire me." "I am not firing you," Marcus said, irritated by her assumption. "I am saying the situation is unacceptable. A child left with a neighbor at this hour. It's a liability." He was thinking in terms of risk management. A tired mother is an inefficient worker. A worried mother makes mistakes. I don't know what else to do," she whispered, tears of frustration in her eyes. Marcus thought for a moment. He was a problem solver. This was a logistics problem. "You will no longer work the night shift," he declared. "What, but—" "Sir, the night shift pays more, the differential. It's how I pay for Lily's. You will report to the 80th floor kitchen tomorrow at 9 a.m., Marcus continued as if she hadn't spoken. "You will be assigned to the executive hospitality staff." "The 80th. But sir, I'm a cleaner. I don't have the right clothes. I don't know how to do that." "You will be provided with a uniform. You will be trained. Your pay will be double your current rate, including the differential. This will allow you to secure proper, state-sanctioned daytime childcare for your daughter." Sarah just stared at him, her mouth open. She was trying to process the words. Double pay. Daytime. Why? She finally managed to ask, her voice suspicious. Why are you doing this? Marcus felt that alien emotion again. He didn't like it. Because, he said, turning to leave, I find your current arrangement inefficient. And tell your daughter not to press crayons against my windows. It leaves a waxy residue. He walked back to his elevator, leaving her standing alone in the dark, silent office. He felt nothing. He had solved a problem. That's what he did. But when he got back to his desk, he found himself opening the bottom drawer. He looked at the crumpled drawing. Mr. Groomy. He ran a finger over the waxy, smiling face of the mommy figure. He closed the drawer hard. The next day, Sarah arrived at 8:55 a.m., dressed in the same denim dress. She was ushered into a staff room and given a crisp black and white uniform. She was assigned to manage the executive lounge, restocking beverages, arranging catering, and ensuring the partners had what they needed. She was clumsy, nervous, and utterly out of her element. She spilled a tray of espressos in her first hour. Marcus, watching from his office via a security feed, a feed he told himself he was monitoring for efficiency, saw her shaking as she cleaned it up. He saw his VPs ignore her, or worse, look at her with thinly veiled disdain. She was a cleaner, and they knew it. That afternoon, Lily showed up. Harrison intercepted her at the main security desk this time. He buzzed Marcus, his voice strained. "Mr. Thorne, the child is back. Lily, she says she has another delivery." Marcus sighed. This was what he got for interfering. "Send her up," he said. This time, Lily was escorted by a security guard. She walked into his office, holding a brown paper lunch bag. "My mommy got a new job," Lily announced, beaming. "She said a grumpy man gave it to her. That was you. Thank you." "Your mother is not to bring you to her place of work," Marcus said, though his voice lacked its usual bite. "She didn't," Lily said. "I came with Mrs. Petrova, my neighbor. She's waiting downstairs. She said I have 5 minutes." She pushed the bag onto his desk. "This is for you." Marcus looked at the grease-stained bag. "What is it?" "It's my sandwich," Lily said. "My mommy packed it. It's peanut butter and jelly. It's my favorite. But I saved it for you." "I do not eat peanut butter and jelly," Marcus said. "My personal chef prepares my meals." Lily's face fell. "Oh, you don't like it?" "It's not a matter of like. It's a matter of nutrition and scheduling." "Just try it," she insisted. "It'll make the grumpy go away." Marcus looked at the girl. He looked at the simple, childish offering. He thought of his own lunch, a $200 plate of seared ahi tuna and microgreens that he hadn't even touched. He reached into the bag and pulled out the sandwich. It was on cheap white bread, the jelly already soaking through. It was pathetic. He took a bite. The sugar and salt hit his palate, a combination so unsophisticated, so normal, that it shocked him. He hadn't eaten processed bread in 15 years. He took another bite. "See?" Lily said, smiling. "It's good." "It is. Acceptable," Marcus conceded, wiping a fleck of jelly from his lip with a silk pocket square. "Thank you for the remuneration." "You're welcome," Lily said. She then reached into her pocket and pulled out another drawing. This one was on a white napkin. "I made this one too." He took it. It was another family portrait. Mr. Groomy, Lily, Mommy, and Buddy the dog. But this time, she had added a house, a massive scribbled black skyscraper. "That's your house," she said, pointing to the tower. And that's our house. She pointed to a small, lopsided square drawn next to it. So we can be neighbors. Marcus stared at the drawing, the proximity of the two houses, the implication of connection. It made him deeply uncomfortable. That will be all, Lily, he said, folding the napkin. Your 5 minutes are up. Okay. Bye, Mr. Grumpy. She skipped out of the office, leaving him alone with the half-eaten sandwich and the napkin drawing. He finished the sandwich. Every last, sticky bite. He felt sick. But not from the food. He was sick of the silence. For the first time, his vast, perfect 80th floor office didn't feel efficient. It felt empty. He looked at the napkin drawing. Neighbors, he buzzed Harrison. Harrison, I want a full, confidential background check on Sarah and Lily. Everything. Where they live, where they're from, who the father is. I want to know every liability. Sir, is this a security matter? It is a personnel matter, Marcus said. I have an employee who is distracting. I need to understand the variables. Handle it. Discreetly. Yes, Mr. Thorne. Marcus put the napkin drawing in the drawer with the pink one. The drawer was starting to get crowded. The file Harrison delivered was thin, but devastating. It wasn't a liability in the corporate sense. It was a human one. Sarah Jensen, 26, originally from Ohio, no college, fled to New York 2 years prior. The father, Daniel Kopech, a string of restraining orders, domestic violence, substance abuse. He was currently thankfully incarcerated in Ohio, but due to be released in 6 months. Sarah and Lily lived in a one-room walk-up apartment in the Bronx. Rent, $1,400 a month. Her new salary, which she hadn't even received her first paycheck for yet, would barely cover rent, food, and the Mrs. Petrova she paid for childcare. The apartment building itself was flagged for multiple code violations, faulty wiring, no consistent heat, rodent infestation. Marcus read the report, and the world of balance sheets and acquisitions faded. This was a different kind of profit and loss. This was survival. He saw a photo of the building, a grimy, graffiti-covered tenement. He compared it to the house Lily had drawn on the napkin. The child's drawing was, impossibly, more optimistic. He closed the file. He was angry. He was angry at the inefficiency of it all, the systemic failure, the sheer waste of a mother working 60 hours a week and still living in a death trap. He was angry at Daniel Kopech. He was angry at the slumlord. But mostly, he was angry at himself, because he knew why he was angry. That little girl, with her waxy crayons and jelly sandwiches, had breached a firewall he'd spent 10 years building. A firewall he'd constructed the day he'd buried his wife, Eliza, and his 5-year-old son, Leo. It was a snowy Tuesday, a patch of black ice, a logging truck. He'd been in a meeting, closing a deal. He'd let his assistant take the call. He'd finished the acquisition before he left the office. Control, order, efficiency. That was how he'd survived. He never spoke of them. He never looked at their photos. And he had a room in his penthouse, a room at the end of the hall that his cleaning staff was forbidden to enter. A room that hadn't been opened in 3,652 days. He stood. He left his office, took the private elevator up to his penthouse. The penthouse was a monument to minimalist, cold perfection. White marble, black leather, glass. Not a single personal item. No photos. No clutter. He walked down the long, white hall. He stopped at the last door. His fingerprint, programmed a decade ago, was still valid. The lock clicked open. He pushed the door. The air was stale, still. It was a child's room. Blue walls painted with clouds. A rocket ship mobile unmoving. A small bed, perfectly made. And on the wall, a dozen framed drawings. Stick figures. A man. a woman, a little boy, and a lumpy brown dog named Buddy. His son, Leo, had been obsessed with getting a dog. Marcus had always said no. Too messy. Inefficient. Marcus walked to the small easel in the corner. There was a piece of paper on it, a drawing Leo had been working on. It was a family. Him, Eliza, Leo. He touched the waxy crayon, a streak of blue. It was dry, brittle. He had preserved this room as a tomb, a monument to his failure to protect them. He had allowed himself this one weakness, this one room, and he had buried his heart inside it. Now another child, a girl, offering him a new drawing, a new family, a new Buddy the dog. The audacity of it, the sheer terrifying coincidence. He sank to the floor, his tailored suit bunching at his knees. He leaned his head against the small bed, and for the first time since the funeral, Marcus Thorne felt the suffocating, crushing weight of his loneliness. It wasn't efficient. It wasn't orderly. It was a gaping, infected wound. He stayed in that room for an hour, breathing in the dust of his dead son's life. When he emerged, he was no longer just Mr. Grumpy. He was a man with a choice. He could lock the door and go back to his acquisitions, or he could not. He went back to his office. He buzzed Harrison. "Find me the name of the landlord who owns that tenement in the Bronx. The one from the report." "Sir?" "And Harrison, find me a dog. A golden retriever. A puppy. Have it delivered to my penthouse by tonight." "A dog, sir?" Harrison sounded like he was having an aneurysm. "Yes, Harrison, a dog. Is that a logistics problem you cannot solve?" "No, Mr. Thorne, a dog. On it." Marcus did not sleep. The arrival of the puppy, a chaotic, clumsy, 8-week-old golden retriever, had thrown his sterile penthouse into disarray. It yelped. It whimpered. It had an accident on a $40,000 Persian rug. Marcus had simply stared at the mess, called his building manager to have it professionally cleaned, and then sat on the floor, letting the creature chew on the sleeve of his $5,000 cashmere robe. He'd named it Buddy. He felt ridiculous. The next morning, he left the puppy in the care of his bewildered penthouse staff and went to the office. The report on the landlord was waiting. A shell corporation, as he'd expected, but he traced it back. He always could. The owner was a man named Silas Croft, a notorious slumlord. Marcus made a call, not to Croft, but to the city's commissioner for buildings, an old acquaintance. "Arthur," Marcus said, "I'm looking at a building in the Bronx, 814 Creston. It's a fire trap. I want it shut down. Today." "Marcus," the commissioner sputtered. You're calling about a tenement? What's this about?" "It's an investment," Marcus said smoothly. "A competitor of mine is hiding assets in that property. I want to apply. Pressure." "Ah, say no more. I'll have inspectors there by noon. We'll find enough to condemn it twice over." Marcus hung up. He then had Harrison make another call, this one to a high-end long-term corporate hotel. He booked a 2-bedroom suite under a holding company's name, indefinitely. The next phase of his plan was complicated. He wasn't giving a gift. He was solving a problem. A housing problem. A safety problem. Sarah arrived for her shift, looking marginally more confident in her uniform. She was learning the rhythms of the executive floor. He watched her for an hour, saw her pour coffee without shaking. Then he buzzed her. Not Harrison. Her. "Sarah, my office, now." She entered, her face pale. "Yes, Mr. Thorne." "You are being relocated," he said without preamble. She froze. "Relocated? To what floor?" "Not floor. Residence. Your current apartment has been deemed unsafe. It is scheduled for condemnation." Sarah's world tilted. "What? Condemned? No. No, I paid rent. Where will we go? Oh my God, Lily." Do not panic, Marcus commanded, annoyed by the impending emotional outburst. It is an inefficient use of energy. I have secured alternative accommodations. A corporate suite, 2 bedrooms, full kitchen. It is closer to the city, which will reduce your commute time. Sarah stared at him. The suspicion was back, tenfold. A suite? Sir, I can't afford that. I can't afford anything. It is not a request. It is a condition of your employment, Marcus said coolly. Thorne Industries cannot have its executive staff compromised by substandard living conditions. It is a liability. The car will be here at 5 p.m. to take you to your apartment to collect your personal effects. You will be moved in by tonight. A car? Mr. Thorne, I don't understand. Why are you doing this? This, again. These why. I told you. It is a logistical adjustment, he said. Now go back to your duties. No. Marcus looked up. He was not used to that word. Excuse me? No, Sarah said, her voice shaking but firm. I won't. I don't know what this is. I don't know what you want. People like you don't just give sweets to people like me. What do you expect? Do you expect me? The accusation hung in the air, ugly and sharp. She thought this was transactional. In that way. Marcus felt a cold fury, but also, bizarrely, shame. He hadn't even considered that interpretation. Mrs. Jensen, he said, his voice dropping to its coldest, most precise level. You are an employee. I am your employer. This is a matter of asset protection. You and your daughter are a potential asset. I am protecting my investment. It was the crudest, most corporate way he could phrase it, and it was the only way he knew how. Sarah searched his face, looking for a crack, a lie, a hint of something illicit. She found nothing but the cold, impenetrable mask of Marcus Thorne. A car. At 5, she whispered. My driver, Thomas, will meet you in the lobby, he said. Now please, I have work to do. She left, dazed. Marcus leaned back in his chair, the adrenaline of the confrontation ebbing. This was harder than a hostile takeover. Dealing with human emotion was messy. He opened the drawer. He looked at the 2 drawings. He was doing this for them, for Mr. Groomy, Lily, and Mommy. He was, in his own clinical way, trying to build the house she had drawn on the napkin. The transfer was chaotic. Sarah, in a daze, had collected 2 suitcases and a box of Lily's toys. The new suite was on the 30th floor of a luxury building, with views of the park. It was larger than her entire apartment floor had been. When Lily saw the 2nd bedroom, which was just for her, she screamed with a joy so pure it was terrifying. Sarah, meanwhile, spent the first night sitting on the plush sofa, crying, convinced this was a dream or a trap. But no one came. No demands were made. The next day she went to work. Marcus Thorne didn't even look at her. He was in meetings all day. The only change was a new item on her benefits report. Thorne Industries Executive Child Care Grant. A stipend that exactly covered the cost of the high-quality daycare center in the lobby of her new building. Sarah stopped being suspicious and started being confused. Life became, for the first time, stable. She excelled at her job. Without the constant, grinding fear of poverty and violence, she was quick, organized, and efficient. She even started smiling at the VPs. Lily, meanwhile, was thriving. She loved her new school. But she still missed Mr. Grumpy. She sent him drawings via the internal mail. Harrison would place them on Marcus's desk with a trembling hand. A portrait of the dog, sir, Harrison would stammer. Marcus would just nod and add the drawing to the drawer. The collection was growing. A drawing of Buddy, a drawing of the new good house, a drawing of her new school friends. Marcus Thorne, CEO of a global empire, had a desk drawer full of crayon art. Then the call came. Marcus was in a video conference with the board of his new Tokyo acquisition. Harrison interrupted, something he was under threat of death not to do. "Sir," he said, his voice breaking the feed. "It's Mrs. Jensen. She's hysterical. She's on her way to the Bronx, the old building. It's on fire." Marcus froze. "Was she? She wasn't there?" "No, sir. She's here, but she said she left something. She's frantic. She mentioned a box under a floorboard. She's taken a cab. And the child?" "Lily is at the daycare, sir." Marcus cut the feed to Tokyo. "Get my car. Tell Thomas to drive. Now." He grabbed his coat. The logistics were bad. A fire. A frantic mother. An old, unsafe building. He'd moved her. She shouldn't have a reason to go back. He met Thomas in the garage. "Where to?" Thomas asked. 814 Creston. Fast. And get me a live feed of the local news for that address." Thomas floored the sedan, weaving through traffic. The tablet in the back seat lit up with a helicopter shot. The building was engulfed. A 5-alarm fire. "Damn it," Marcus whispered. When they arrived, the street was a wall of fire trucks and police. Smoke choked the air. And he saw her. Sarah. She had broken through the police line and was wrestling with 2 firefighters, screaming, "My box! It's in there, 4B. Please, it's all I have. Ma'am, the building is coming down. You can't go in." Sarah was sobbing, a raw animal sound of pure despair. "It's my mother's. It's Lily's father. The letters, the proof. I need it." Marcus understood. The restraining orders. The evidence. The one thing that could keep Daniel Kopech away when he was released. She had hidden it, afraid to keep it in her new, borrowed life. Marcus got out of the car. He walked calmly through the chaos, his tailored suit an absurdity against the soot and flashing lights. "Mr. Thorne?" Sarah choked out, seeing him. "Ma'am," a police captain barked at him, "this is a restricted zone." Marcus ignored him. He looked at the chief firefighter. "Chief, that woman. She needs a box from apartment 4B. What's the status of that unit?" The chief, recognizing the aura of pure, cold authority, answered him. "It's gone, sir. The 4th floor collapsed 10 minutes ago. There's nothing." Sarah heard it. She let out a sound that wasn't a word, and she collapsed, boneless, onto the wet, gritty pavement. Marcus watched her. He felt. Nothing. No, that wasn't true. He felt furious. He had failed. His solution was incomplete. He had moved the assets but not secured them. He walked over to Sarah, who was rocking on the ground, muttering, "It's gone, it's all gone." He put a hand on her shoulder. She flinched but looked up, her face streaked with soot and tears. "Mrs. Jensen," Marcus said, his voice cutting through her grief. "Get up. I can't." "Get up." He pulled her to her feet. She was shaking. "This," he said, "is a setback. That is all. You lost paper. You did not lose your life. You did not lose your child. You will come with me, now." "But, Kopech, he's getting out. He'll find us." "Yes," Marcus said, "he will, and I will be ready for him." He guided her, stumbling, back to the sedan. He put her in the back seat. "Thomas, take Mrs. Jensen back to her hotel. Do not leave her. Call Dr. Elias, my personal physician. Have him meet her there. Sedation, if necessary." "Yes, sir. And you, sir?" Marcus looked at the burning building. "I have a call to make." He walked away, pulling out his phone. He dialed his head of legal. "David, I need you to contact the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. I want to know everything about an inmate named Daniel Kopech. Release date, parole conditions, everything. And then, I want you to file for an emergency change of name and social security number for Sarah and Lily Jensen. We are making them ghosts." He hung up. He looked at the fire, a chaotic, destructive, inefficient force. He hated it. He had spent his life building things, building an empire. He looked at the building collapsing in on itself, taking with it the last vestiges of Sarah's fear. And he realized he wasn't just building an empire anymore. He was building a fortress. The aftermath of the fire was a pivot point. Sarah was a wreck for days, oscillating between debilitating guilt for having left the box and profound, paralyzing fear of the future. Marcus, true to his word, handled it like a corporate restructuring. Daniel Kopech is a non-issue, he'd informed her, not in person, but via a sterile memo left by Harrison. My legal team has filed injunctions. His parole will be contingent on a 1,000-mile exclusion zone. His communication will be monitored. He is a variable that has been contained. He also, in the same memo, informed her that her new identity papers were being processed. She would be Sarah Thorne. A corporate fiction, the memo explained, to place her under the umbrella of the Thorne Industries Executive Protection Protocol. It was the most clinical, impersonal, and terrifyingly thorough declaration of safety she had ever received. He was, in essence, branding her as his property to protect her. And then, there was Lily. Lily knew nothing of fires, or restraining orders, or psychotic ex-boyfriends. She only knew that her mother was sad, and that she hadn't seen Mr. Grumpy in a week, so she took matters into her own hands. One afternoon, while her mother was sleeping off a sedative, Lily bypassed her nanny, went down to the lobby daycare, and, using the impressive infiltration skills she had clearly honed, slipped out with the afternoon kindergarten class that was visiting the office tower for a field trip. She knew the way. She got off on the 80th floor. The receptionist, new and not trained for this specific blonde-haired contingency, tried to stop her. "Ma'am. Miss, you can't go in there." Lily just marched past, holding a large, rolled-up piece of poster board. She walked right past Harrison's desk. He was too stunned to even stand up, and pushed open the heavy glass doors to Marcus's office. Marcus was on a conference call with his London partners, pacing. "If we don't leverage the emerging market in Brussels, we are ceding." "Hi," a small voice said. Marcus stopped. He turned. Lily was standing there in a little red coat, holding the poster board. "I'm busy," Marcus said, his voice flat. He pointed to his headset. "I'm on a call." "This is more important," Lily said, with absolute 7-year-old certainty. "It's an emergency." Marcus looked at her. He looked at the muted London button on his phone. He sighed, a sound of utter defeat. He pressed the button. "Gentlemen, something has come up. We'll reschedule." He hung up. He tossed the headset on his desk. "This had better be," he said to the child, "a life-threatening emergency." "It is," Lily said. She unrolled the poster board. "My mommy is broken. And you're broken. And I'm going to fix it." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You are?" "Yes, with this." She held up the poster. It was a mess. A glorious, chaotic mess. It was another drawing, but this one was huge. She had glued things to it: macaroni, glitter, bits of yarn. It was again the same 4 figures: Mr. Groomy, Mommy, Lily, and Buddy the dog. But they were in a new location. It wasn't a skyscraper. It wasn't a tenement. It was a proper house, with a red door, a chimney with cotton ball smoke, and a green, glittery lawn. And in the corner, she had taped something. A photograph. Marcus moved closer. He recognized it. It was from the background check file. It was a photo of the tenement building, but Lily had taken a red crayon and drawn a giant X over it. "That house is gone," she said, pointing to the photo. "It was bad. It burned up." "Yes," Marcus said quietly. "It did. So I made us a new one." She pointed to the glitter and macaroni house. "This one. It's for all of us. You, me, Mommy, and Buddy. We can all fit, see?" She pointed to the red door. "There's room." Marcus stared at the poster. He stared at the sheer, unadulterated optimism. The belief that you could just draw a new reality, that you could replace a burned-down, terrifying past with a future made of glitter and glue. He thought of the room in his penthouse, the tomb he had built for his son, the past he couldn't draw an X over. "It doesn't work that way, Lily," he said, his voice rough. "You can't just draw things and make them real." "Huh, you did," Lily said. "What?" "My mommy said you're getting us a new name, a Thorn name, like you, so we can be safe." She pointed to the Mr. Groomy figure. "You're Mr. Thorn, and I'm going to be Lily Thorn, and she's Mommy Thorn. We're a family, like the drawing." Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. The corporate fiction, the executive protection protocol. This child. She had seen through his sterile, corporate language and found the one thing he was terrified to admit. The truth. He wasn't protecting an asset. He was building a family. He reached out a trembling hand and touched the glittery green lawn. "This house," he said. "Where is it?" "I don't know," Lily shrugged. "You have to find it. You're the billionaire." He looked at her, this tiny, terrifying, brilliant child. He looked at the absurd, beautiful poster, and he started to laugh. It was a horrible sound. Rusty. Dry. A bark of pure, shocked air. It wasn't a laugh of humor. It was a laugh of surrender. He was Marcus Thorn, and he had just been out-negotiated by a 7-year-old. "All right," he said finally. "All right, Lily. I'll find it." He buzzed Harrison. "Harrison, cancel my afternoon. All of it. Sir, you have the call with the German Chancellor. Cancel it. And, Harrison, find a frame. The biggest one we have, for this." He took the poster from Lily's hands. He was going to hang it, right there, on his office wall, opposite his $2 million Rothko. "Okay," Lily said, satisfied. "Now, what about Buddy?" "What about Buddy?" "The drawing," she said, pointing. "We have the house. We have the family. We need the dog." Marcus stared at her. Then he looked at his desk phone. He pressed a button. "Thomas, bring the car. We're going. Home. And bring the puppy. The one in the penthouse." "The puppy, sir?" "Yes, Thomas, the puppy. We have an introduction to make." Taking Lily to his penthouse was, in hindsight, a tactical error of catastrophic proportions. The moment the elevator doors opened, the golden retriever, Buddy, who had been in the sole care of a very confused dog walker, bounded out. It was a whirlwind of yelping and fur. Lily shrieked, a sound of joy so high-pitched Marcus worried it might shatter the windows. "Buddy, it's you! It's really you!" She fell to the marble floor, and the puppy attacked her with licks, wagging its entire body. Marcus stood there, watching the two of them roll around, a chaotic, messy, living spectacle in his sterile white lobby. "You got him!" Lily cried, holding the dog's face. "You got him from the drawing." "He required acquisition," Marcus managed. "Lily? Lily." Sarah's voice. She came running out of the second elevator, her face pale. She had woken up, found Lily gone, and, in a panic, been directed to the penthouse by Harrison. She stopped dead, taking in the scene. Her daughter, rolling on the floor of a billionaire's penthouse, with a puppy. Marcus Thorn, standing there in his suit, looking utterly bewildered. And on the wall, visible from the lobby, was the door. The last door at the end of the hall, the one that was always closed. "What is this?" Sarah breathed. "This is Buddy," Lily announced, holding the dog up. "He's our dog." "We don't have a dog, honey." "Yes, we do. Mr. Grumpy got him. We're a family now. We're all Thorns." Sarah's eyes snapped to Marcus. The color drained from her face. "What did she say?" Marcus felt the floor drop out from under him. The child had, in her innocence, just deployed a nuclear weapon. The legal paperwork, Marcus stammered. For the name change, it was a security measure. A security measure, Sarah repeated, her voice flat. You're making her. You're trying to, what? Replace. She stopped. Her eyes drifted down the hall to the one closed door. She was smart. She was a mother. She put the pieces together. The loneliness, the sudden, obsessive interest, the new housing, the new name. Oh God, she whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. You have a son. It wasn't a question. Marcus's mask didn't just crack. It shattered. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't speak. He could only nod. Just once. Sarah looked at Lily, happily oblivious with the puppy. She looked at Marcus, this powerful, broken man. She saw the open tomb. You're trying to replace him, she said, her voice filled with a sudden, cold fury. She's not. She's not him. You can't. You can't just buy a new family because yours is gone. You can't just draw it on a piece of paper and make it real. That's not what Marcus started. But the words died. Was it? Was that what he was doing? He had buried his grief in that room for a decade. Had he, in his loneliness, seen this woman and her child as a way to fill it? Mommy, what's wrong? Lily asked, sensing the tension. The puppy whimpered. Mr. Thorne, Sarah said, her voice shaking with rage and a deep, empathetic pain. I am grateful. For the job. For the home. For the safety. But my daughter is not a replacement part. We are not. We are not your cure. I think we have to go. No, Lily cried. I don't want to go. This is our home. This is Buddy. It's not our home, baby, Sarah said, pulling her up. It's just a place. We'll find our own. Come on. She grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her toward the elevator, leaving the puppy yelping on the floor. Mrs. Jensen. Sarah. Wait, Marcus called out. His voice was raw. She stopped at the elevator but didn't turn around. You're right, Marcus said, the admission tearing out of him. You're right, I thought I was solving a problem. A logistics problem. Your safety. His. Kopech's. Threat. But it was me. I was solving for me. Sarah turned, just her head. Tears were streaming down her face. I know, she whispered, and you can't. Not like this. The elevator doors opened. She pulled Lily inside. The doors slid shut, reflecting Marcus's solitary figure, standing alone in his vast white hall, with a confused puppy whining at his feet. The silence that returned was deafening. It was worse than before. Before, it had been an empty silence. Now, it was a silence full of absence. He had failed. He had taken these two vulnerable people and tried to fit them into the Leo and Eliza-shaped holes in his life. He had been grotesque. He walked down the hall. He stopped at the door, his son's room. He opened it. He walked in, breathing the same stale air. He looked at the rocket ship mobile. He looked at his son's drawings. Stick figures. A family. He sat on the small bed. Buddy, the puppy, had followed him. It nudged his hand, whimpering, sensing his grief. Marcus stroked the dog's soft head. I broke it, Buddy, he whispered to the dog. She gave me a new one. And I broke it. Just like the first drawing. He sat there for a long time. The efficient, ruthless billionaire was gone. In his place was just a man. A father who had lost his son. A widower who had lost his wife. A lonely soul who had just been offered a lifeline and had, through his own clumsy, controlling grief, severed it. He knew what he had to do. It was not a logistical solution. It was not an acquisition. It was a surrender. He gave them 3 days. 3 days of agonizing, absolute silence. He didn't call. He didn't send Harrison. He didn't monitor them. He had his legal team finalize their new identities, Sarah and Lily Jensen, not Thorne. He arranged for a permanent, high-security apartment in a different building, putting the lease and a substantial trust fund in Sarah's new name. He had the Kopech file finalized. The man would never, ever get within 1,000 miles of them. He was, in effect, letting them go. He was giving them the one thing he had never given them. Freedom. Real freedom, not protection. He was solving their problem, not his. On the 4th day, he did the hardest thing he'd ever done. He took the elevator down to the 30th floor of their corporate hotel. He knocked. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was in simple, dark trousers and a gray cashmere sweater. He looked smaller. Sarah opened the door. She was holding a packed suitcase. They were leaving. "Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice neutral. No anger, no fear. Just tired. "Can I come in?" he asked. She hesitated, then stepped aside. The suite was clean. Boxes were by the door. Lily was in the corner, on the floor, drawing. She looked up, saw him, and her face lit up. "Mr. Grumpy." Then she saw her mother's expression, and her smile faded. She went back to her drawing, quiet. "You're leaving," Marcus stated. "Yes," Sarah said. "The new papers came this morning. Thank you. The trust fund. It's too much. We can't accept it." "It is not for you," Marcus said. "It is for her. For her education. For her future. It is not a transaction. It is an apology." Sarah looked at him. His eyes were red-rimmed. He hadn't been sleeping. "Mr. Thorne, Marcus, what you did, it was wrong," he finished. I had a son. His name was Leo. He was 5. He liked to draw. He wanted a dog, a buddy. Your daughter, she walked into my office and she opened a door I had kept locked for 10 years, and instead of just being grateful, I tried to pull you both inside, into that tomb. It was selfish, and I am sorry." Sarah's cold expression softened. She saw the truth of him, the profound, aching grief. I'm sorry too," she said. "About your son." "Mommy?" Lily's voice. She walked over, holding up a new drawing. "Of course. What is it, honey?" Sarah asked. "It's for Mr. Grumpy," Lily said. She handed it to Marcus. He took it. His hand was shaking. This drawing was different. It wasn't a family. It was just 2 people. A big stick figure and a little stick figure standing next to each other. They weren't holding hands. They were just there, side by side. Above them she had written, "Friends." Marcus stared at it. Not Mr. Groomy, not Mommy, not family. Friends. It wasn't an acquisition. It wasn't a replacement. It was an invitation. "It's you and me," Lily explained. "We're friends, and Mommy is your friend too." Marcus looked from the drawing to Sarah. He saw the guarded, hesitant hope in her eyes. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice thick. "We are." He looked at Sarah. You don't have to go. The apartment, the one I secured. It's safe. It's yours. No strings. Not from me." Sarah hesitated. We need our own place, our own life." "I know," Marcus said. "It is your own. I won't be there. I won't interfere. I need to know you're safe. Please, as a friend." Sarah looked at Lily. She looked at the drawing. She looked at this powerful man, offering her everything, but finally, asking for nothing. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, Marcus. We'll look at the apartment." Marcus let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding for a decade. He sank to his knees so he was eye level with Lily. This, he said, holding up the drawing, is the best one yet, Lily. Lily beamed. I know, but I have a question. Anything. What about Buddy? Marcus looked at Sarah. He saw the flicker of a smile. A real one. Well, Marcus said, standing up. Friends. Friends sometimes share. He's in my penthouse. He's very lonely. He could probably use a friend to visit him. Can we visit him now? Lily cheered. Yes, Marcus said, looking at Sarah. I think we can all go visit him. Together. It wasn't a storybook ending, it was life. Messy, complicated, and real. Sarah and Lily moved into the new apartment. It was theirs, truly. Sarah continued to work at Thorne Industries, but she was promoted. She was good at it. She was more than a cleaner. She was a sharp, intuitive manager. Marcus had her moved to the charitable foundation, the one he had always run with cold efficiency. Sarah. She tore it apart. We're not managing assets, Marcus, she told him in a board meeting 6 months later. We're helping people. We need to fund daycare, not just museums. We need housing grants, not just galas. Marcus just sat back and said, do it. And she did. The Thorne Foundation for Families became the most aggressive and effective single-parent support system in the state. And Marcus? He changed. He still ran his empire, but the Mr. Grumpy caricature, the ruthless shark. It softened. He started leaving the office at 6 p.m. He took weekends off. He spent those weekends at the park. He'd be there, in a sweater and jeans, throwing a ball for a very happy, very large golden retriever. Lily, now 8, would be on the swings. And Sarah would be on a bench, sketching in a notepad. Not a stick figure, she was taking art classes. They were friends. Sometimes Marcus and Sarah would sit on the bench watching Lily and Buddy, and they would talk. About their day. About the foundation. Sometimes. They'd talk about Leo. And Eliza. And sometimes Sarah would talk about the fear, and the running, and the relief. They were two broken people, not fixed by each other, but healing. Side by side. The priceless reaction. It wasn't one single moment. It wasn't the breakdown in the hospital that never happened. It wasn't the tearful hug. It was this. It was the slow, dawning realization that a family wasn't something you lost, or built, or acquired. It was something you earned. One drawing, one conversation, one shared throw of a dog's ball at a time. One evening, Marcus came to their apartment for dinner. It was a simple, chaotic meal. Lily was talking a mile a minute about school. Buddy was begging for food under the table. Sarah had made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. As a joke, Marcus ate his, without a hint of irony. After Lily was in bed, Marcus and Sarah were cleaning up. She's happy, Marcus said, looking at the wall of Lily's drawings that now covered the fridge. She is, Sarah said softly. We both are. He paused, drying a plate. The house, he said. The one from the drawing. The glitter and macaroni one. What about it? I found it, he said. It's upstate, an old farmhouse, red door, big lawn. It's for sale. Sarah stopped. She looked at him. Marcus, are you buying it? No, he said, setting the plate down. He turned to her. I'm not. We are. The foundation. As a retreat. For the families. A place. A safe place. With a big, green lawn. Sarah looked at him. This man who used to see the world in billions and bottom lines. He was talking about a green lawn. She smiled. A real, unguarded smile. I like that, she said. I like that a lot. He smiled back. And in that moment, in the kitchen of a safe apartment, with the sound of a sleeping child in the next room and a happy dog at their feet, Marcus Thorne looked at the drawing on the fridge, the one of two friends standing side by side. He realized Lily had been wrong. She hadn't drawn their future, she had drawn his. And his reaction. It was finally, truly, priceless. Thanks for watching this story. What do you think of Marcus's journey? Do you believe that one small act of kindness, like a child's drawing, has the power to change a person's entire life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We all have the power to be someone's priceless reaction. See you next time.